2020. We'll open the meeting right up with the approval for the minutes of June 9th, 2020. Somebody want to make that motion? Yes, Rachel, thank you. Second. Edna, thank you, Edna. Any further discussion, addition, deletions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Is Mike there? Somebody from Mike's office?
Mike is not there. He
was.
sent a report yesterday showing that the revenue collected through July 10th of this year compared to last year is down 74%. However, we need to remember that not everyone reports on the same schedule. Some report on a monthly schedule and some report on a quarterly schedule.
No wonder he didn't show up. Well, I hope that starts to rebound. That's a lot. That's a lot. Sales tax only down 6%.
Well, I did the math on that, and I get 42.5%. I don't know where 70 came from.
You know, it's funny you say that, John. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot I had done that. I looked at it and said, that's not right.
No, and I emailed Mike. I said, Mike, I think you ought to take a look at the math here.
I also looked at June.
Well, 42.5% is big too.
Yeah. If you look at the two numbers, then it's 42%. If the numbers are right, the percentage is definitely wrong. But yeah, it's still a big.
Yeah. I compared June 2020 to 2019, and it was down 35.6%.
June was. Well, hopefully it rebounds. I know places are busy in Lake George. It's not the same. People aren't staying as long, but they're definitely renting rooms and going out to eat.
Dennis, this is Joanne from the tourism department.
Yes,
Relative to the STR report, and I'm looking at the revenue that's been collected through the month of June, it's down approximately 45%. So it's not that, 75% is collections, but the revenue is out there and it just may not have been submitted to the treasury yet. So I think as we're talking about the lower numbers, probably more likely.
Yeah, it's definitely in the 40% range, which is still a lot. Hopefully July will show some turnaround. If we have a good weather in the fall like we've had in the summer, that'll help too. Okay, we have an agenda. We have a request. Yeah, Sasha's here. I've spoken to Sasha and I had a conversation this morning. This actually with Andrea Hogan. I don't see her on there. With Andrea Hogan.
She's called in.
Okay. The request from the winery is for payment. It's not for an advance. She has spent well over the amount that she's asking for, so she needs to submit a voucher to that effect, and we'll pay her. It's not an advance. It's the same as the America when they came in. The money and more has been spent. So I don't think we need any action on that unless somebody wants to. Okay, we're good. You're good.
Thank you,
Sasha.
Dennis.
You're welcome. Now we have two things that really concern me, and one of them is the CVB, and the other is the Cool Center. Fortunately, both of them voluntarily review where they were and what was going on, and came back and made proposals to us to take a lesser amount. And I have to tell you, I really appreciate the effort on both their parts. It's significant, and they assure me that they'll be all right with this amount of money. So what you have there is a reduction in the 2020 from the CVB in the third and fourth quarters, and a reduction from the Civic Center, 31,250 in each of the third and fourth quarters. So they're on the agenda. We need to pass a resolution to make these payments. It's different than our contract. So we're going to need a resolution. If somebody has an issue with one or the other, we'll do them individually. Otherwise, we can do a resolution approving the payment of both those.
And as I could, Chairman,
Yes.
thank you. It's Claudia. Could we just hear from both of those agencies,
Yeah,
entities?
they're both here.
And I'd like to hear what they're doing. I mean, are they down in their own expenses because there really isn't anything going on? Or are they going to be in the red themselves?
Jeff has gotten my attention already, so I'm going to let Jeff respond unless he wants to have somebody else respond.
No, I think I can, Dennis.
Okay.
You know, I think we made a few adjustments yesterday with Ryan Moore on the payment schedule, but it's still down compared to what you all wanted for the next 18 months. So it's a little bit different. I've got a new document from Lisa I need to get back to today. But yeah, I mean, as you know, we've been closed since March. You know, we furloughed a lot of staff. You know, we're well behind our projections for 2020. You know, on paper it was going to be a really good year until we got shut down in March. So, we're well behind where we expect to be. But I think even with the $100,000 less OCTAX payment for the rest of 2020 and 2021, I think we can figure out a way to keep this operation going. Obviously, we know how much the county has invested in us over the last 5 years. So, you know, we will survive. I think that was the question. And we'll figure out how to make new revenue as soon as we're allowed to be open. And, you know, we'll probably have to be a little bit leaner for the rest of this year for sure. And then probably into 2021 until we're back to a normal, hopefully we're back to a normal operation.
Jeff, what's the new number?
I think within the mid 50s for the July payment. I could forward you the email, Dennis, but it's more money taken in 2020 and less money taken in 2021. But it's still good.
An email this morning to everyone. The new amount is $56,250,000 with value of $162,500 for the 2021 budget.
Is that Lisa?
It is.
Yeah. So you have the actual numbers there. Does everybody have those?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Jeff. Did that answer your question from the Civic Center, Claudia?
Okay, yes, thank you, Jeff. I hope we can keep it afloat. I know you guys will. I know you will. Thank you.
We will. And thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Jeff. Thank you for your help. We really appreciate it. Gina, you want to respond to that?
Yes. The CVB end, we basically pivoted our activities. Of course, we paused, you know, all advertising and trade shows. If they were postponed, some of them have been actually now canceled for the year. So we stopped any of those payments, made sure that we got those monies back just in case, because we also don't know what's going to happen next year. Many of the trade shows that we go to, people come from all over the country and in some cases all over the world. So of course, you know, that will impact again moving forward, which we don't know about. So any monies that we've shored up over the next 2 quarters were because our goal was that we would, you know, maybe have the opportunity to roll those dollars over for next year, knowing that there would be a significant cut based on, or there could be a significant cut based on this year's occupancy tax collections. So that's how we looked at our budget now and forecasting for the future. And then with regard to our pivoting, we have really focused all of our efforts from a community effort, whether it's rallying our business community to ensure that we were ahead of the game in all of our best practices, our community development with regard to our under 50 program. We did pause our arrival to departure tourism awareness training program because of the fact that we did have so many frontline employees from all businesses furloughed for so long. And now that we've started up again and reopened, unfortunately, our labor, we have major labor issues in the market in terms of servicing the business that is here, especially for those lodging properties that actually collect the occupancy tax. So we're not in a position to really push that tourism awareness training program, we don't think, until the fall, just because of how people are, 5 people are doing the work of 20 people at any given property across the board. So we have looked at, where we are and how we're pivoting and learning every step of the way and working in conjunction. Our whole collaborative efforts have been from Ryan Moore at the county to Joanne in the tourism department and to other aspects of the county, from a public sector, as well as with our business community to ensure, the healthy reopening as we've been able to do that. So we're looking very closely at what we can do. And with regard to the events, meetings, weddings, sporting events that have either been postponed, canceled, rolled to next year, and trying to salvage what we can. And then talking to now really those hobby groups that could come here. So you might have seen a Camaro group around town over the weekend, or the antique cars that have been here. Those are the kinds of groups that we think that we will be able to go after in the future because they can still come here safely. I know that Kristen is already working on a kayak group for in August to come here. Again, events and groups that could come here all safely, not from a quarantine state. And so that's the kind of business that we've now pivoted to work on and to bring here in the future.
Excellent. Thank you, Gina. Claudia, good there?
Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just wondering on the resolution itself, does that language need to change for the Civic Center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yours is the same, right, Gina? 75,000? Gina?
Let me go back and look at that.
So typically we would have gotten 150 in this quarter. So we're cutting it in half for each of the next two quarters.
Okay.
With the caveat that over.
So the agenda is correct for the CVB, and then it's incorrect for the Civic Center. Lisa, you want to give us all that number again?
For which one, Dennis? For
The Civic Center.
the Civic Center, $56,250.
Okay.
Times 2 for 2020.
Yes, for the
2020.
third and the fourth quarter, and Gina's is a $75,000 reduction for third and fourth quarter.
So the overall
missed
amount,
it. Oh, I'm sorry.
the overall amount of the contract for 2020 for the Cool Insuring Arena would be $237,500. For the CVB would be $400,000, and then going into the 2021 budget for the arena, $162,500, and CVB $480,000.
What was the Civic Center in 2021?
$162,500.
Okay. Great. Anybody have any questions about those? Does somebody want to make a motion to approve those for payment?
Yeah, I can do that for both of them.
Claudia, thank you. Somebody want to second it?
I'll second it. Kevin Garrity.
Okay, Kevin, thank you.
And I
So
want
we
to thank them both for doing that.
Okay. Are there any comments, questions? I'll call the question to order. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion's carried. Thank you. I just want to make a note here too. Joanne's online, but the tourism budget reduced their budget by 26% as well. So, and they've done a great job reorganizing, and the same as everybody. So they're hot on it, fast at it. I don't have anything else unless somebody's got a question.
Dennis, I have a question.
Who is it?
Kevin, I have a question for Dennis.
Yeah.
By paying this money out and knowing that we're not getting the revenue in, we need assurances that we're not going to have people coming in next year saying we did it in 2020. Somebody is overriding me. You know, I'm just really concerned. I mean, we're not going to get the money in. The tourism budget is based on Occupancy Tax, and it really concerns me that we're paying out whether the event happens or not. I would suggest that we not do this anymore because we're putting our tourism budget in jeopardy. Yeah, Dennis, can you unmute yourself? I'd like to mute you, but I'm there. Are you unmuted, Dennis?
Yes,
Okay, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause
I do. I agree wholeheartedly with you. I mean, if it's truly down 40%, that's a lot of money.
well, the only thing I'm saying is we just got to be careful. You know, I mean, we did it for one, and I believe that event's going to be canceled. We're doing it for this one, and right now it's still on. But we don't know it's going to be on because the rules are changing. I heard the rules just changed again on gatherings, and
Kevin, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but here's where I am. I was front and center with Christian and the Dutcher family when they were trying to pull the Americade off. They spent a tremendous amount of effort, time, and money trying to put something together. And in the end, with all of the unknowns and the situation as it was, they had no choice but to cancel. So, but that's an oddity. I mean, I hope it is. We don't go through this next year.
I know, Dennis, but this is the second event that's come in and asked for the same privilege. And
Are you talking about Sasha's wine
right,
festival?
she wants her 35,000 now to pay for what she has expenditure. We don't know if the event's going to happen. I get all that, and I know it's tough times. You know, we're canceling our little thing for Warrensburg Fire Company, and I understand what they're going through. But what I'm saying is, the money from Occupancy Tax funds the tourism budget. Just be careful, because we may need this money in that budget at the end of the year, just so we can continue on in 2021. And that's all I'm saying, Dennis. I just want to make that point.
Kevin, we're comfortable. There's still a lot of unknowns out there. We're comfortable with it. And again, Sasha's done the same thing. She has reorganized and re-advertised. She's put a lot of effort into this. She's hopeful that the September date will work out for her. But she doesn't know any more than I do whether it will or not. But she's put this money out there and relying on us and you know, our occupancy tax that we spent. If this event doesn't come off, it's the same as with Christian. They're going to take a serious hit this year themselves on these events. So that's where we are. And I agree with you, but I think this needs to be done, Kevin.
Okay, but maybe going forward, the ones that we have funding in for going forward, maybe we should tell them, you know, that be judicious with how you're spending the money, because the well at the county, if the event doesn't go forward, I mean, you have the garage sale coming up, and I don't think that's going to happen. So if they come in and they say, well, we've expended 28,500, we want to be paid for that. Are we going to say no to the Chamber of Commerce, or are we just going to pay them their 28,500, whether the event goes on or not? And I don't know what happens after the garage sale, what other major one. All I'm saying is, let's take a stance from this point forward and notify these events that you may not get your money if the event doesn't go on. Unless you want to do something different, that's fine. We'll wrestle.
Kevin, I have done that. I've had some of the events, people are doing the same thing. They're renegotiating and they're moving all around. And I've been very careful with them, telling them, the occupancy tax is for an event that brings people here. And you have to be careful with some of these harebrained ideas they come up with.
Yes, I get that, Dennis, but it also affects Warren County people working in the county building, our tourism department. So we just got to, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
You're welcome, Kevin. Appreciate it. Anybody else? We have a motion on the floor.
Dennis, Mike, I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm
Dennis?
afraid I can, Mike.
Thank you. I think
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
But I took myself off video because my reception isn't good. But I do agree with Kevin in principle that we need to do things different. But my topic really today is we're getting some refunds or clawback from some of the events and some of the organizations that aren't spending the money this year. What are we doing about the town allocations? And is the town of Lake George canceling events and not funding events? And what's happening with that money? Is it going to come back to the county? Is it the same for Bolton, Queensbury?
No, we're keeping track of all that, Mike, and that's part of the reason. You notice a couple of them mentioned Ryan. That's part of the reason we're doing that is we're keeping track of the money that's coming back, and we're also trying to hedge our bets and have money available for next year.
Yeah, but I think, Dennis, I think, and you've heard it all from me before, but I believe we need to relook at this allocation. And if we're getting money back from these events, I would think that the county should be able to get money back from the towns also. Not all the towns, but the bigger towns have some money that
Mike, we are definitely looking into that.
Well, that's a good answer, Dennis. But
we're definitely considering.
What are you asking about, Mike? Mike, what are you asking about? I don't understand the point you're trying to make.
We're getting money back from some events. Some events are already spending money, but the allocation that we make to the towns, that's 25% of our overall budget, or 25% of the overall proceeds from occupancy tax. And people have heard it before. There's $1 million that goes out to Bolton, Lake George Village, Lake George Town, and Queensbury. It's a year that we should be able to get some of this money back to the county, so Mike, we can have for next year.
There's two streams that go to the towns. One is the 25% you're referring to. That's in the local law. You have to change the local law to do anything about that. The second is the spending plan.
Right.
Are we taking a vote on that spending plan thing that's in the agenda? Is that what Ryan Morris just referred to?
No, Claudia, we're not ready to do that. We're still looking at that. The items that we're looking at now are the things that we're really going to take action on.
Okay, but the spending plan is the money outside of the local law money that he's referring to.
The towns are going to get the local law money.
Right, per the local law, yeah.
It's up to them. They could voluntarily send some of that back if they don't have a use for it. But the spending plan was introduced a few years ago is above and beyond that. And that's what we're looking at, seriously looking at now. We could continue as it is. We could terminate it. We could reduce it. And we're not quite sure what we're going to do with it. We're not quite sure what all the towns are doing with it. So.
Okay, well, to Kevin Garrity's point, though, perhaps the town should also be telling their events that they might not be getting money.
Oh, absolutely.
We're about to cancel the spending plan.
Absolutely.
I just,
I
agree
have
with
conversations almost every day with the people that the town of Lake George and the village of Lake George have given money to.
yeah, okay, okay.
Yep.
Hey,
Okay.
Dennis, this is Frank.
Yes.
My question is when are the towns going to be paid the balance of the 25% from 2019? That money is usually paid out in June and has not been paid out yet. And we're paying out money to events that aren't going to happen, and we haven't made our obligations to the local law at this point.
Well, my understanding is we're getting ready to pay that. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's supposed to be paid in June, but we're getting ready to pay that. We're having conversations with Mike Swan, and we want to get those monies out to the towns. It's not an issue. It's a law.
Exactly.
We're not following it.
No, that's my concern. I'd at least like to follow the law. All the other stuff is all open to our discretion, and that's what we're really looking at. But we need to get this money together and get it out to the towns and get it behind us. We the county are in arrears here with these towns.
Dennis, this is Lisa.
Yes.
We don't have the money to pay the town payments. Our ending balance in June was $1.3 million. We need to keep $1 million for cash flow, and we owe the towns over $800,000.
Bingo. Here's the problem. So we will look into both of those things as we move on.
Dennis, this is Gene.
Yeah, Gene.
All right. You know, I'm looking at Sasha's budget. I'm not trying to pick on her. She does a great job of informing us what she spends. But I'm looking at a couple of things. Maybe she can answer the question. I see one thing, staff volunteers. Now, to me, a volunteer is a volunteer, but we have $18,000 in staff volunteer payments. I don't understand that one. Event production rentals, well, if you got 17,000, we got, what do you got, about a month and a half before the event. Do you have to pay those things before we use them? Down at the bottom, digital advertising. Digital advertising can be done almost a month before the event, not now. I think this event has been running a long time. It's very successful. But if you go back to when we started this money giveaway, after a few years, it was supposed to be declining because the event should become more popular. They wouldn't have to spend so much on advertising. So basically, I'm just, this is the only things, you know, we can't get money that the towns, that the taxpayers we have to collect from taxpayers. And we're in trouble right now, and we're giving out money, and I hope the event goes on, but the way it sounds in the last couple of days, we might have to cancel that wine and beer festival also. So we cancel everything else, balloon festival. Well, I think World Dorothy's garage sale is making a decision. So, you know, we lost a lot of events this year. So that's only my comment. And it's not against Sasha, but I look at a budget like this where the loss of profit, it looks funny that we're going to spend, you know, all this money and not make a lot of money. And I hope Sasha makes money, but it's starting to, this is a tough year. We all got it squeezed. Thank you.
Okay, Jim. Sasha, you want to comment?
Yeah. So my budget that I submitted, I was going to have $163,282 in event production expenses and $111,770 in total marketing expenses. So that was my original plan. So as Dennis said earlier, this is drastically reduced. What you see now is 61,000 in event production expenses and, you know, not quite 90,000 in marketing. Just, I commented earlier just in a type, but everything, I mean, we work so far ahead that we're planning the moment that the event ends last year for the next year. and getting all the contracts in place, paying everything out. So, you know, as I said, like we have already spent $86,000 in marketing costs. You know, part of that is the marketing staffing, which is my largest line item, but that's not going to be what I'm billing the county back for. I'm billing against, you know, all of our other marketing expenses, which is what you're supposed to do for occupancy tax money. So, you know, as far as what we've already spent there, it's $41,400. And we actually sold, like we start our marketing, our real big push back in November. We do a real big Christmas time push. And then we were continuing right up until coronavirus hit. So just to put things in perspective a little bit.
Great, thank you, Sasha. All right, we got a motion on the floor.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Rachel.
I am so sorry to interrupt you, but I've patiently had my hand up and been waiting and
I didn't notice it.
Thanks. You know, I think Sasha, what she's victimized to really right now is poor timing, and her excellent planning and transparency is actually something that we're using as a negative against her and her event. And I think that, you know, all along, Dennis, we've been having OCTAX meetings when it talks about handing out money that is raised by our tourism community and our lodging to hopefully have a few events left standing. And what I'd like to see is some more meetings where we're talking about changing that local law, when we're talking about how money is dispersed, when we're talking about not following the spending aid guidelines. You know, those are things that we should be discussing that I know you made a commitment to in January. And, you know, we're still sitting here saying to Sasha, well, the rules for you are different than the rules for Americaid and the rules for events prior. I hope the Warrensburg garage sale goes. I hope Sasha's event is able to go forward. But I think it's really important that, to all due respect to G. Merlino, if we're going to go line item by line item, then let's make it fair. Let's ask every event to turn in every expense and every revenue that they're bringing in, because we don't ask this as we request it when we make decisions, but we don't follow the law. To Kevin's point, we aren't doing what we say we're going to do. So, you know, I'm really troubled to hear that we have a couple events that, you know, with Americaid, we were very clear with them. Go ahead, spend it, try to get the people here because we'll reimburse that cost. But now we want a nickel and dime Sasha's event when she sat through those same meetings. She asked for 40,000 and got 35. I don't know. I just think that we're double.
Hopefully we'll do the right thing with the motion on the floor.
Well, Dennis, I would appreciate a meeting being set where we could talk more about the changes that we've promised the community we would look at. You yourself said this needs to be changed.
We can do that, Rachel. Let's get by this, and I'll sit down with Ryan and we'll put something together and get everybody involved.
Well, if you could involve your committee members, that would be great. And I'd be happy to send you an email with some of the concerns that I have moving forward.
Well, let me put something together and we'll set up an agenda for a committee meeting next month. And
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
About these things, sure. Okay, anybody else? Anything? All right, bring the question to the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion's carried. Does anybody have anything else?
Dennis.
Yes, Claudia.
Thank you. If we do have a broader conversation about this, I think we might need to look at amending our local law about that money that's going to the towns automatically, because we aren't going to have the money in the bank to pay it this year.
Yeah, we can do that, Claudia. It's been in effect for a long time. It's not been a problem. This year, everything's a problem.
Well, Dennis,
everything.
I don't know if that's so true. It's been a problem for a long time, and we continue to talk about changing it and talking with our advisory groups and finding a way to get the biggest bang for the buck, and also look at those rollovers and how money is spent. So it was a problem before COVID even hit.
I'm not going to argue that point, Rachel. We're definitely going to discuss it. I think that's the point.
Well, at that next meeting, Dennis, could we also have a report on the money that's been paid out to events? I mean, I see general emails that tell me what's been canceled, but something tells me we have paid out some events, money for things that we're not getting a detailed report back, like an after action on whether that money was returned, that event was canceled, if it was used in it.
We have that information, Rachel. I'll make it available for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
We can do it right now.
That would be great. I mean, I'm happy to look at information before meetings. That would be wonderful.
This is Lisa. So we have not paid any of the events so far this year, including the Lake George Winter Carnival, only because they haven't submitted. We also have not paid the 2019 Balloon Festival because they have not submitted. That's the carryover. So the only thing that I have right now, I do have the 12,005 that we committed to hold on.
The North Creek,
Yeah, North Creek Business Alliance for the shuttle. So I do have that to go into the next audit. But other than that, we have not paid anything except for, of course, the CBD and the Civic Center's first and second quarters.
Thank you, Lisa.
Dennis, what's the timeline for people to submit receipts from years prior? I mean, with invoices, sometimes it's 60 days, 90 days. I know sometimes in the past, the county hasn't had a cutoff. What's the cutoff to submit for reimbursement?
I don't know. I was surprised when she said the Balloon Festival hasn't submitted.
We don't have a cutoff. That's something you might want to discuss.
Yeah.
But the Balloon Festival organizer has been under a lot of stress with the COVID as well because he works for the ARC. He has not, as I understand, had the time to put this all together yet.
And anything that hasn't been paid out, any of the contracts from 2019 that haven't been paid out, I would assume that when we do the year-end close, there's encumbrances against 2019 funds. So those funds are already removed from the OCTAX fund balance. They're waiting for the check to be cut.
That's correct.
John, you're on that committee. Do you know why they haven't submitted?
For the Balloon Festival?
Yeah.
No, I don't know why they have not submitted anything at this point in time.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, John Straub.
Thank you,
I
John.
will second Dennis, Claudia Bramer.
Thanks, Claude. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I want to thank everybody for coming. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate the effort by everybody to help us with this OCTAX situation. So thanks again. Have a good day.
Good luck, Sasha.
Thank you.